Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of On the Spot. We have a great show, Ryan, today, right? What's going on?
We got all kinds of fun stuff, like Unreal Championship 2.
Unreal Championship 2, there's a developer interview this very morning involving Unreal Championship 2. You're going to see a clip of it coming up very shortly. Well, it looks like we have some guests here. I think, Greg, Jeff, what's going on with you guys? How you doing?
Oh, pretty good.
Yeah?
Hanging out.
Cool, cool. Greg and Jeff will be playing DS games for you here. Ooh, looks like I got some Field of Magic. Here's the case. I got the box. Awesome. And also we'll be seeing some, looks like some Mario 64 and some Spider-Man 2.
That's right.
Which will be very cool. Ryan, what else we got going on?
Since we got both these guys here, we're going to be talking a little bit about the reviews. We got Halo 2, we got Half-Life 2, we got Metal Gear Solid 3 sitting all over here. So we talking about Jeff and let's be talking to Jeff and Greg about what they gave those games and about some of the feedback we got from the audience.
Very cool. We'll also be taking a look back at some of those games. We've had footage on the site for all 4 of those games, highly anticipated games, all of them. We're going to take a look back to see what were the first teasers that I said, oh man, I can't wait to play that game. And now they're finally out, and now we're all playing these games, and it's great.
And the crazy thing was, you actually mentioned earlier, Metal Gear Solid 3, there was confusion when that thing first came out, remember?
Exactly. We'll talk all about that, the crazy leaked trailer that we showed up, but we didn't really believe it, the name of the game. Also, you may remember way back on July 29th, we premiered on this very show a little game called Alien Hominid.
I remember that.
It's an awesome game, Alien Hominid, and we'll be playing some of the 4-player, multiplayer, PDA, mini-games, customizable, crazy stuff. All 4 of us here in the studio will be playing once. It's going to be great. What else we got, Ryan?
We got ourselves a little Alien Hominid. After that, we got ourselves Game Spotting Live.
What's Game Spotting Live?
That's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to remind the folks at home a little bit about what Game Spotting Live is all about. We get tons of mail all the time asking us when we're going to get some new Game Spotting Live episodes going. So today we got some excerpts, and we'll be talking about that because we got some stuff in the works.
Great. Also, today on the show, you will see the greatest giveaway in the history of On the Spot. Phenomenal giveaway. I'm not going to say anything else because that would give away the giveaway. But stay tuned for the end of the show, and we'll be giving away the best prizes we've ever had.
It's true.
Also, if you're a GameSpot Complete member and you have some questions for us, look at the form on the page right now, fill it out, send in your questions for Greg and Jeff about anything of all the site, especially ask about Half-Life 2, Halo 2, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, and Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. They'll be taking your questions on those games and much, much more. But right now, without any further ado, let's check out some Unreal Championship 2, the Leandri Conflict, I believe it's called. Check it out.
Mike Capps. I'm the lead designer of Unreal Championship 2. I'm also the president of Epic Games. Unreal Universe is pretty big, it's true. Unreal Championship 2 is built just for Xbox. Unreal Championship 1 was a success for Xbox. That was a platinum seller. But what we've done is kind of moved more in the direction of console play. So we've added third-person gameplay, melee, that sort of thing. So we're kind of keep evolving in that console-friendly direction. Unreal Championship 2 is actually the biggest of the Unreal games we've shipped. It's got 40 different levels and counting every day. We've got 14 playable characters, and they're all unique. Unreal Tournament and Championship had lots of different meshes and skins, but they all played the same. And Championship was more like a fighting game where every character has their own moves, their own health levels, speeds, that sort of thing. We've got 6 online game modes, a pretty big single player, bunch of goodness in there. Well, Unreal Championship 2 plays both in first and third person. We've got a lot of hardcore guys who are used to playing Unreal down the barrel of the gun, and so we've absolutely made sure they're going to be happy with UC2. But I think most people, once they play a bit, are going to want the additional peripheral view information and just the mobility that you get out of third person, where you're bouncing off walls, doing wall dodges, pulling out your swords. It's all so much more fun in third person perspective. So we've tried to mix the two. You can play it either way that you want, but I think a lot of people will gravitate more towards the style that this game's going. Well, there's 6 game types, deathmatch and the team variant of deathmatch. We've got survival, which is sort of a one-on-one battle of the fittest with 10 different people playing. You're taking turns fighting, trying to stay at the top of the hill. We've got capture the flag, of course. Can't make an Unreal game without that. We've got Nolly Slaughter, which is a sort of arcadey style, kill all the peaceful Nolly as fast as you can. And then we've got Overdose, which is another brand new game type, which is sort of a deathmatch, bombing run, domination, big conglomeration game type, which I'll have to show you for you to understand. And then we've got mutators, got 24, and we're working on new ones every day. We can't support the community the same way we do on the PC on the Xbox, and so we're making sure there's all sorts of variety. If you want to play the game with low grav, insta-jib, quad jumps, go ahead, we've got it all in there. We've already planned our first downloadable content, actually. We've got a couple maps on the way, and we're kind of watching to see how much people get into the game. If they're loving it and they want more mutators and characters, we can do all that. Unreal Universe and all of our games have been known for just crazy, whacked-out environments. It's a fantasy game, right? You've got spaceship holds, you've got outer space, you've got underwater, you've got Egyptian pyramids, all sorts of different styles, and UC2 is the same way. We've got a good mix of about 15 or 20 deathmatch, about 10 maps for the new Overdose game type, but they all really, really play differently. It's not just slap some red paint on the wall.
And that is Unreal Championship 2 coming to the Xbox very soon. Was that Raiden I saw
That
right
was
there?
Raiden.
And isn't it supposed to be like a future shooting game?
Raiden is a god, man. He exists in the future, too. Now, that's like one of the benefits of Midway now publishing Unreal Championship 2 is they've slid in some Mortal Kombat. You actually do fatalities in that game, too. They're called, like, the coup de grace.
Is there more than Raiden in there, do you know? Or?
That's all they've said so far. Who knows? Though
Cool.
there could be all kinds of stuff in there.
What do you have on your left there, Jeff? What's that look like?
This is the Nintendo DS.
What game do you have for us to play?
I've got Mario 64 DS in here right now.
Well, why don't you fire that up, and our cameraman Roger will come back and get a nice shot of your shoulder. And what can you tell us about Mario 64 DS?
Well, do you remember the Nintendo 64?
I do. I played games on it.
There was a game called Super Mario 64.
Okay.
That was one of the first games available for the system. This game is that, only you play it with a D-pad and a stylus, and they've made some light changes to it in terms of implementing 4 characters. So you start out as Yoshi, you eventually find Mario, then you eventually find Luigi and Wario also, and each one of them has kind of their own unique abilities.
Oh, I see. You can still morph your face a little bit.
Yeah, they've changed it up a little bit, and so now I can also do Yoshi here instead of just Mario.
How is the touchpad work into the game?
The touchscreen works not all that well from what I've played so far, basically. You can use it to run around. Basically, you'll put the stylus on the screen and run around with it. And the control doesn't seem to be as refined as you would want it to be for like a precision platforming game.
Okay.
So yeah, we can make Yoshi's face all crazy.
Why don't you hop into the game so we can see what it looks like?
All right.
Now, from what you're saying, we can expect more of what we remember from the Nintendo 64.
Yeah, they've basically taken that original game and put it onto the DS with a lot of the same thing. Here we are, outside the castle.
Right.
Running around. Basically, the big use of the 2 screens is the bottom screen is a map, which, you got through the first game without a map just fine, so you don't necessarily need to have one here, but it's actually kind of nice in a couple situations because it'll show you where things like red coins are, and if there are some levels with exposed stars, you can actually, see those right off the bat.
So you said the touch screen, the touchpad, you don't need to necessarily touch it while you play. You can just use the controls.
Yeah, basically the only thing that you really need that much analog control for is when you're tiptoeing, and there's pretty much only 1 or 2 specific points in the game when you need to do that, and you can actually just kind of tap on the D-pad to make him walk slow enough to get past that part. The D-pad's not really a perfect solution either. But the game controls reasonably well after you get used to it.
What we're watching right now, what you're seeing on the screen, is actually a gameplay movie that you can find on GameSpot right now on the Mario 64 DS game space, and you can find this and plenty of other great movies. Jeff, anything else to say about the game? Or?
No, we'll have a full review of the game real soon.
Real soon. Now, Greg, over on what do you have for us over there?
I have here Spider-Man 2, one of the other big launch titles for the system.
Very cool. You want to fire that up for us?
Yeah,
We'll let
sure.
Roger work our way over for it. Can you actually hold that game cartridge up again?
Yeah.
So I'm sure a lot of people haven't actually seen how small that is yet.
It's not quite as small as the little tiny baby N-Gage games, but it's pretty darn small. Comes in those cool little cases. You just kind of click it right in here, and you've got to push it down again to eject it. And you start it up right here, and I'm already... I haven't used the DS that much yet, but I'm already really terrified of accidentally powering it down while playing a game. Because the power button is right next to the D-pad. You kind of, if you just tap it, it doesn't go off, but anyway.
Yeah, I actually did that once.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, awesome.
Yeah.
So, much like Super Mario 64 DS, Spider-Man 2 doesn't really use the 2 screens, but it still showcases this system's relative kind of technical prowess. It certainly is obviously capable of stuff that the GBA can't do, and that's pretty cool.
This kind of is like a 2D, 3D thing going on, right?
Yeah, it sure does. It plays like a 2D game, but it has 3D graphics. You're running around in like in the city and stuff, and sometimes you'll go around corners, so the whole background will kind of shift, like in that old game Pandemonium and some others like it. but you're only running from side to side, basically. And what you do in this game, much like in any Spider-Man game, is you beat the crap out of dudes with baseball bats and things of that nature. You could kind of fly all around, web swing all you like, and there's just like the cool thing about it is, it's all 3D, and these aren't like super high detail graphics, but they run really smooth, which is neat because we've seen 3D done on. Oh, this part's great.
Oh, wow.
There's a really good. They use that really good canned scream that you hear in like Indiana Jones and all those other movies. It goes ah whenever you knock a guy off a cliff. So that's pretty satisfying. Climb all around, beat guys up. There's you could go into like a little bullet time spider sense thing, beat guys up in slow motion.
It's crazy.
So
we're getting a ton of questions in right now about the DS.
And you can switch. Sorry, you can switch between your. You do use the bottom screen to like switch between special moves. So now I've like enabled this sliding kick, or if I click this one, I've got the web shot, and I can kind of hawk these loogies at guys.
They're easy to. Could you demonstrate that switching again one more time for us?
Yeah, you just kind of. There's one move.
Oh, I see.
There's another one. Yeah.
Down there.
Oh, that's cool.
But
So it basically acts as like a sub-screen then.
yeah, it acts as a sub-screen, and it sort of begs the question: couldn't you like just hit start and do that? But
On-the-fly switching, man.
Yes.
Revolutionary.
Yeah.
Living in the
Yeah,
future.
I mean, it's pretty cool. And at the same time, I think there still seems to be a lot of potential for to take more advantage of this setup. Since these early games where you're like looking at the top screen, though I guess stuff like Field of Magic seems to take more advantage of the format. I've only mostly been playing this one so far and have a lot more of it to play tonight.
And speaking of Field of Magic, that's what Jeff has going on right now. And while our cameraman Roger works his way over behind your shoulder, let's answer some questions.
Fantastic.
Matt McNichol of Pentagon, British Columbia, Canada, says, are the screens on the Nintendo DS actually backlit or just front-lit like the GBA SP?
I believe, they sure look like the GBA lighting, so I'm going to guess.
Though they also seem brighter.
Yeah.
They do seem like they're a little bit cleaner than the GBA screen is. But yeah, I mean, if you look at it sideways, you do see that it looks like it's side lighting.
And one thing to note, one of the things I noticed about the design is that you don't have a button like on the GBA SP that toggles the lighting on and off. You can apparently you can set it in the options menu, but you can't get to the options menu from within a game. As far as I know, you have to like quit the game and then turn the light off or something. So you can't just toggle it.
See, Mario has it where anytime you pause the game, you can go to an options screen and set the sound options and turn the light on or off there.
That's pretty cool.
But I didn't actually see it in any of the in-game menus, so who knows? It's all over the place. These people all burned alive.
All right now, Jeff, you were playing Field of Magic, which I had the pleasure of processing a ton of great gameplay movies for last night. And this game looks crazy. It's like it's got the wackiness of like a WarioWare bunch of mini games, along with like a story about trying to fall in love with a girl, along with a touchscreen.
Touchscreen and microphone support. See if I blow into the microphone there.
You're blowing on the candles.
Yeah.
Right now we're watching the intro movie to Nintendo to Field of Magic XYXX, and this is you. You're the protagonist, and you're always wearing the safety helmet. And that gentleman right there with the rabbit ears gives you this goldfish, obviously, because he is part of the Rub Rabbits performance group, and says the way you can win this girl over is by joining this performance group and doing all kinds of crazy stunts that will win her over, including saving this dude from swallowing goldfish, which is fun.
Goldfish,
Is that what you're doing right now, Jeff?
Here's the goldfish
You're
one.
about to do the goldfish one?
So I think I need to...
I think you rub the belly and you get the goldfish up through the mouth. That's what I have been able to foresee from the gameplay movies.
Oh, there's one.
All right, now here's the direct feed of them doing it correctly. There you go.
I did it correctly. I'm on level 2 over here.
This game looks crazy. It's brought to you by the people from Team Sonic. And while Ryan, we're getting hundreds of questions in here while Ryan and Greg sort through them. Ryan, do you have one you want to ask?
I got a couple of good ones here. Here's one from Mike Atherton from France. Mike is asking, will the release of the original Half-Life using the Source engine make it look like Half-Life 2?
No. A very simple answer. Actually, Half-Life Source did come out at the same time as Half-Life 2. It's just not many people noticed because they were sort of more interested in playing Half-Life 2. But I actually did go out of my way right off the bat to check Half-Life Source out because I was really curious to see what it would look like, and it doesn't it doesn't hold up that well because it mostly looks like the first one. You get some of the cool new fancy water effects, but it's still all the old textures and stuff. So it looks like an old first-person shooter, and man, that game was fast. And you play it on a new system, and you get like a frame rate that's so quick that it's really tough to navigate through some of the tighter spaces. But Half-Life still, sounds great and plays great, so it's a real classic. So it's still pretty fun to go back to that game and see how it really is pretty similar to Half-Life 2.
Right on. Cool.
Jeff, now that you've gotten your hands on it, this is a question from Chad in Elgin, Illinois. How does Feel the Magic compare to Sprung? Both are romantic adventure games, but how do they compare with each other gameplay-wise?
Well, Sprung is pretty much like a text adventure.
Yeah.
The big gameplay thing in Sprung is that you're picking dialogue options and seeing how the story plays out from there. Whereas Feel the Magic is basically more of, like you said, like a WarioWare kind of touchscreen game with all these little mini games that tie into a larger story. So they really are different games, even though they both are all about love.
Good. So while one brings you the fine writing of North Shore, the other one lets you roll down shopping carts down huge hills and do crazy things
I will pick the shopping carts 8 days a week over North Shore.
Feel the Magic looks great. Ryan, do you have more questions?
I do. This one comes from Acid Burn 1942 from San Jose, California. Do you know
the Acid Burn 1942?
Do you know what Bungie has in store? This is to you, Greg.
Sure.
Do you know what Bungie has in store for the Xbox Live Halo 2 content, the download stuff? Do you know they're going to get maps, weapons, new appearance upgrades, anything like that?
Bungie hasn't announced anything specific, as far as I know, about what new downloadable content is going to be available. But there is, just the other day, they issued basically a patch over Xbox Live that addresses sort of the notorious progressive scan bug that affected some players. And it also unlocks previously a hidden map called Foundation. Oh, wow. So for all intents and purposes, it's like there's a new map available for the game because no one figured out the really crazy way to unlock it. So they're like, forget it. Let's
release it.
Put it out there. Beyond that, the other exciting thing that Bungie's been talking about is that they're going to tweak the playlists. So if you've been playing online and playing in the Rumble Pit and all that kind of stuff and getting kind of the same maps a lot of the time, it seems like pretty soon you're going to start to see different content there, hopefully some swords-only matches and some cool stuff like that. Seems like they're real close there, and that should keep things pretty dynamic and interesting over time.
Yeah, totally. I saw a couple of like rockets only matches in the Rumble Pit.
There's shotguns only matches too.
Yeah. So that's a good start.
Well, while we're talking about Halo 2, should we move right on to the next part of the show?
I think we should.
Great. Now, as we were saying, recently a lot of long waits ended as 4 games. Each platform got a great long-awaited game. It's actually Metroid Prime 2. Is that long-awaited, would you say?
Sure.
A couple of years, that's a long wait? All right, cool. So as we said, Halo 2, Half-Life 2, Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, and Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater all came out. Everyone's playing them. Greg, you reviewed Halo 2.
That's right.
What can you tell us about it?
It's real good. It's real fun online, especially. I mean, it's interesting that I guess all the other games you mentioned, they're all single-player experiences primarily. Metroid has the little multiplayer part, but it's funny how quickly people can just blow through the single-player games at this point. I mean, there are already people talking about how they've finished Metal Gear Solid 3, and that game came out yesterday. It's like, damn, people. But no, I mean, I blew through it myself, so I can sympathize. But yeah, with something like Halo 2, people are going to keep playing that game long after some of these other games, live on only in our memories. So the online multiplayer stuff that they did is really pretty innovative, not just in sort of the console space, but also just with first-person shooters in general. It reminds me a lot of what Blizzard did with Battle.net for Warcraft 3, and that they just added this really cool, it's just really slick how well built it is for like serious competition and for tracking your stats and making it feel like everything you do online has purpose. So even though you're kind of playing in these crazy death matches and just blasting people or hitting them with the butt of your rifle, it's like it's all being tallied. So that game knows exactly how many times I've bashed someone or blasted them with a certain weapon and all that, and it's like it just gives a greater significance to everything, and I think it's really hard to explain, but Halo 2 players know what I'm talking about.
My brother was walking me through some of the great online features that Bungie has set up. Like first of all, they will match you up exactly with players of your level, which he says results in ties occasionally, but it's still great competition. Also, like the maps that they generate, showing you how you killed people and how you were killed for each match that you take place in. Like how can they hold all that data?
Yeah,
it's great.
It's really crazy. You look it up. You look yourself up on the Bungie stats page. It's got a list of like every match that you've played and where you came in and so forth. So if one time you got cheated out of victory, it's there on permanent record for you to lose sleep over and for the rest of your life or whatever. So
or until they accidentally wipe the stats.
Exactly.
You know it's going to happen eventually.
We'll see. Yeah. There hasn't been a major debacle like that yet in gaming, not that I can think of. It's not like any. I'm still waiting for the day when some online RPG goes, oops, we deleted everyone's characters. So.
Sorry. We kept the character server underneath my sink and it sprung a leak. And
that'll be interesting.
So the one question, you mentioned Metal Gear Solid people flying through the game in a single night. This question comes from Ivan. So Ivan wants to know, in British Columbia, is Metal Gear Solid 3 long?
Yeah, it is a long game. It's a long game if you sit there and watch all of it. Which most people will, because the plot is the best part of that game. It's really interesting. I guess it is longer than 2. It took me about 15 hours, probably 15 to 20 hours or something. It could easily take you longer, I suppose, if you do a lot of the crazy extra stuff and really experiment with the gameplay. And there's definitely reason to go back in a second time. And then there's, of course, the snake versus monkey mode where you can go around and blast ape escape monkeys for a while. So, considering it doesn't have a really amazing online multiplayer component, it's still got a lot of value.
Well, now, before we get too far away from Halo 2, I know we're all dealing with huge stacks of questions here. Does anyone have any good Halo 2 questions for...
I've got one. I got one right here. This came from Boston, Massachusetts, Idamus. He got his Halo 2 on Xbox Live, and to my surprise, his clan was gone. It tells me to create a new one. Do you know by any chance why this is happening? Also, I checked Bungie.net, and I can only search my clan, but it doesn't say I'm in it.
It's possible that maybe he got one of the copies that they, that leaked out before the stat wipe. They wiped the stats right before the game came out.
Much to our chagrin.
Yeah, I had already gotten my guy up to like level 7 or 8 or something, and it was wiped. I was like, oh. So that's certainly possible. Otherwise, if the clan still exists and there's still players in it, he should ask for an invite and get back in.
Gotcha. That's some good advice. You got anything over there, Rich?
Michael from New Zealand called the ending of the story campaign dodgy, which is a great adjective. Does anyone want to comment on it?
Well,
without giving anything away?
Without spoiling anything, I think it's a known quantity that Halo 2's ending is rather abrupt. So it definitely leaves you wanting more. I think the big question is, when is more going to come? Because it took Bungie quite a while to turn this game around, and there's been talk that their next project might not be, might be something other than another Halo. But I think with the way that Halo 2 ends, if nothing else, it's very obvious that this series is going to continue. But I don't think anyone really had any doubt about that anyway. It's a hugely successful series, and people are going to want more.
And you just answered Tala Umaga's question, also from New Zealand, Wellington, New Zealand. Halo's 2 ending looked like it was setting itself up for a third game. Are there any truth to rumors that their Halo 3 may be on the horizon? I think you can safely say there will be.
Microsoft. It's important to say that Microsoft hasn't announced anything. We don't know that it's coming out at any point, or whether it's even going to be an Xbox game as opposed to for whatever else Microsoft has in store. But I think it's very safe to say that we'll see more Halo sometime.
Cool.
Though with the length of time between Halos, I think even if Bungie is hard at work on Halo 3 right now. If all this talk about the next Xbox launching, next holiday season are true, I don't think they would have a game ready for it. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. Nothing's been announced, but
it would be pretty sweet for the next Xbox to launch with a Halo game too.
It would.
That would be awesome.
So now let's move on to, thank you for all your questions, Halo 2. Now moving on to Half-Life 2 for the PC. Now the review is written by Jason, but we've all followed the checkered past of the game as it's tried coming out. And now it's finally here. Its checkered past is now in the past. Don't have to worry about it anymore. There's a game here, and you should play it. Now, is anyone you been spending some time with the game yet, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, I think like Jeff and I were talking about it earlier this week. The thing that's really insane about that game is how good it looks, just right off the bat. I mean, not only like are the graphics incredibly good, but just that engine that they've been working on runs so smooth. I mean, it's you just get incredible performance out of that game.
Yeah.
And I mean, I figured that after Doom 3, after Far Cry, after Chronicles of Riddick, all these like really graphically impressive games, that it would be very hard for that game to be impressive visually. And especially thinking back to the original Half-Life, which was, you know, an extraordinary game, but its graphics weren't the best part. It was just like all the stuff happening in the environment. It didn't look as good as like, what was it, Quake 2?
Yeah, Quake 2
at around the same time.
Colored lighting, man.
Yeah.
Quake 2.
So,
But the amazing part about Half-Life 2 is when you think about how many times that game's been delayed, and it still looks that great. You know, oftentimes when a game gets pushed back again and again, you know, it comes out and it looks a little dated, but definitely not the case.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine playing that game a year ago.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, the expectations for that game were so high. People were so convinced it was, you know, going to be the second coming. And who knows, really? I mean, I think the reality is it's a really, really awesome first-person shooter and one of the best action games of the year. Whether history will show it to be, you know, greater than its predecessor, I think we've made, you know, our statement in that regard, that we don't think it surpasses its predecessor because, you know, just by virtue of the fact that it follows in its footsteps.
Definitely. And it's a very crowded category.
Yeah.
You know, everyone and their mother has first-person shooter this year, and there's a whole lot of competition.
But I mean, that one certainly shows some incredible talent and some really cool physics, throwing bottles at people and stuff like that.
I was throwing cans at the Combine troopers and letting them come beat me with their stun batons. Spent like half an hour doing that.
They can't actually kill you with those.
No, it doesn't actually hurt you. But
it looks like it hurts you.
Yeah, I mean, it hurt me in here.
Now, Ryan, I'm guessing one of your favorite parts of Half-Life 2 is actually the multiplayer add-on, which is Counter-Strike Source. What can you tell us about Counter-Strike Source?
That I haven't played it since Half-Life 2 came out. No, seriously. No, I play Half-Life. I mean, I play Counter-Strike Source like every night. Since I was able to, and I still pretty much do every chance I get. The multiplayer component of that game is just ridiculous. I mean, if you're into tactical first-person shooters, it doesn't get any better than Counter-Strike Source.
Now, one of the interesting aspects of Half-Life 2 is not actually the game itself, but how it was distributed. And the Steam-powered engine, Steam online service. What can you guys tell us about Steam and some of its problems, or do you like it? Do you think it's a good idea?
I mean, it seems like the verdict is it seems like the dust is still settling on Steam a little bit. It's hard to tell exactly what's panned out, because on the one hand, you do have quite a few people complaining that they, you know, it is pretty crazy that some people went and bought that game on day one, installed it, and went to play it, and they're like, what the hell? This is a single-player game, and I have to authenticate it online? That's weird.
And then on top of that, the authentication isn't working.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that some people did run into some problems where they were unable to play it. Strangely enough, I preloaded it like the Sunday before it came out. It preloaded really quickly. It unlocked really quickly, and I was playing it no problem.
On my work system, I preloaded it the same day that it came out. And for me, I mean, I mentioned this before, but for me, the process of like unlocking that game and downloading it and playing it like at the stroke of midnight was every bit as exciting as actually playing the game. It was just really wild to be able to like receive a game in that fashion, and rather than go to a store or something. And I found myself thinking, like, am I bummed that, you know, I don't have a big cardboard box and like 10 jewel cases lying around, and or I guess paper sleeves in Half-Life 2's case. Not really. It was just really neat and convenient. So it seems like Steam definitely has some rough edges to smooth out, but it may signal some sort of interesting development.
Definitely. I mean, it's definitely, you know, it's a wide-scale distribution of a very large game. I mean, you know, 5 discs is not a trivial amount to download.
Right.
And it's interesting that people were willing to go through that step. But the part where you get bummed out is the part where you lose a hard drive and have to download it again. Because that's going to take longer than digging up the CDs and installing it again.
But the one cool thing, which has always been one of my favorite things about CS Source, is no matter where I go, it's with me. It's like I can go to any computer that can run that game, get my Steam on, and boom, it's got my game right there. So if I go to somebody's
based on your login, right.
So if I go to somebody's house, I'm going to play some CS Source. I don't have my computer, but they got an extra one. Boom, Steam is there for me to hook me up.
What kind of life are you leading where you're going on the run like, check this out.
It's like that's why I'm at. You got to have CS Source anywhere you go. But the one thing I will say about Steam, this is a unique situation, so don't take it to be completely negative. But in my case, it was. So I've got a pretty powerful laptop that is capable of running Half-Life 2 very well. I worked all day, and then I grabbed my laptop, ran to go catch the bus like I do every day. And the one thing I didn't do is I was in a hurry, obviously, and I was powering my computer down. You don't think twice about it. You hit the power button, pull all your cords, and you're running out the door. I get on the bus, and I'm like, oh, yeah, baby, my hour-and-a-half bus ride, I'm going to play me some Half-Life 2. Well, you got to log out of Steam, because if you don't, it doesn't let you play. So that's totally a bummer. So I sat on the bus, and I restarted my computer like 3 times, thinking that, I don't know, I tricked it into thinking that, So yeah, I totally sat there with my computer and just couldn't play.
Cool. This is a great conversation we're having right now, but before we go any further, let's take a break and look back at some of the first footage we saw for all 4 of these reviews that we've been talking about. Check it out.
Admiral, tell your men to hold their positions. Reinforcements are on the smoke.
The entire fleet is engaged, Cortana, with respect. What the hell sort of reinforcement have you got? It's passing below your position, man. Proximity 0.
What if we miss?
I won't.
Attention, Mr. Freeman. I'm only going to say this once.
那么，看来我们是没有合作的机会了。
And we are back. Let's jump right into the questions. Well, actually, first, no, I want to look back at those movies. Those movies were really cool. I had some great facts on those movies. I'm sure I've shuffled it away in my notes. Here you go. That Halo 2 video we just watched part of, that was released on September 4th, 2002 at the Microsoft X02 event for the launch of Windows Media Player 9.
I was there.
You were there?
I was in New York, yes.
That's cool. And if the news story that we ran with it said expect a holiday 2003 release for Halo 2.
That's when it was intended, yep.
And what some of the interesting little facts we picked out of that cutscene is that cutscene actually is in the game, slightly modified. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that happens. That's pretty early on in the story where the Master Chief drops off a little bomb in a Covenant ship, except, in the trailer he doesn't actually have the bomb there. He just kind of hopscotches between spaceships, which is pretty cool. Too bad you don't actually get to play that part.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I also noticed in the radio chatter, if you listen closely to that, you hear one of the soldiers mention the word regret. What the verbs and nouns around that, I couldn't make out as well, but if you want to go back and check it out, the show will be up in a moment. We also saw Half-Life 2. That footage was from E3 2003. That was the tech demo where we saw the great facial animations for that game for the first time. Also from E3 2003 was that little clip of Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. It's from Reel during the Nintendo press conference, I think.
Yeah.
And finally, the Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater trailer. Greg or Jeff, can you tell us the story behind that movie?
Yeah, that was just some pre-E3 madness. It's like we were all getting prepped up for E3, and suddenly this thing just leaks out. It came out of some weird fan site in some other country or something.
Yeah, it was shown at some German trade show. Was it the Leipzig trailer?
I think that was it.
An earlier one.
But it was linked to like the very first one where people weren't even sure if it was for real.
Right.
People are like, another Metal Gear Solid? What?
And you saw the name Snake Eater, and everyone's like, that
name.
can't be the name of the game. He's eating a snake. This is obviously someone who had some time, and they made it themselves. And
it's one of those weird things where, like, after you hear it enough times, it sounds fine. But yeah, the first time people heard Snake Eater, it just seemed so bizarre, and yet now it kind of fits right in.
Well, speaking of fitting right in, let's roll it right into Metal Gear Solid 3. That game came out yesterday, correct?
Yeah.
And Greg, you wrote the review. What can you tell us? What stands out about the latest chapter in Snake's story?
It's really just the production is what stands out. I mean, people have said it before, but Hideo Kojima, the designer of the series, has obvious kind of aspirations as a filmmaker, because some of the cutscenes in this game are just really amazing. They're on the level of anything, any big budget movie. They're just choreographed and presented incredibly well, but they're done, obviously with these polygonal characters instead of real life actors. But yeah, some of the stuff in that game is really actually pretty shocking. It's like I actually felt I was rather desensitized after some of the stuff that's come out. I played Manhunt and all that kind of some really ghastly games, but Metal Gear Solid 3 surprised me at a number of occasions, and it's also just got some really beautiful moments in it. It's just really amazing stuff. But in between all that, it's got lots and lots of kind of dense story that's totally non-interactive. You put the controller down, or you hold onto it and feel it rumble sometimes or something. So the game is very well suited for its fans, and as for new players, I think it's going to go over a lot of people's heads, which is all right, because the game knows its audience and really, I think, hits them in all the right points.
Jeff from Florida writes, without getting into spoiler territory, how do you feel about Snake Eater's story compared with other MGS games? And I will add, is it as crazy as some of the stuff we've seen before?
It's definitely crazy. At the same time, it's sort of it's done better. It's more satisfying than that of Metal Gear Solid 2. It provides real closure. It's actually, I haven't yet played every game this year, but of all the games I have played, it's easily my favorite story of the year. It draws a very satisfying conclusion at the end. It ties up its loose ends. It ties in with the other games in the series. So again, I think fans are really going to enjoy how it all pans out. And yeah, the second half of the game I felt was much better than the first. It's when the things just really pick up and get really exciting.
Very cool. Do we have any Metal Gear 3 questions in these huge stacks? Ryan, do you have any?
No, but I got plenty of other questions.
I actually have one last question. I think you already answered it. It's from Patrick. I like reading the questions from Europe because we are huge in Europe. Keep them coming. Patrick in Prague. That's in the Czech Republic in Europe, for all of you that don't know. He says, greetings, you're doing a great job. I'd like to ask Greg, how long actually is Snake Eater, longer or shorter than Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Solid 2?
As mentioned, it's a little bit longer. It's a very kind of satisfying length for a single-player game. It feels like it's got a whole lot of meat on it, and by the time you finish the last series of confrontations, you'll feel pretty exhausted. You're like, stay down.
So I lied. I got one question for you.
Kick it.
This is from GTA Dude, New York. This one's for Greg. I'm a new
The
person.
GTA dude?
The one and only?
I'm a new person for the MGS series. I played a demo for it. MGS3 is referring to. But I thought it was pretty neat. Do you think the full version will satisfy me?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine how someone who's never played a Metal Gear Solid game would respond to 3, because it's just a weird game. With that said, it is like very self-contained, so it is its own story. It doesn't do too much referring to the other games, or at least it's got enough just really weird stuff in it where that'll fly over people's heads along with half the other dialogue.
But it won't necessarily get in the way of someone's enjoyment of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think people who approach Metal Gear Solid 3 with an open mind will really enjoy it, and as long as they look forward to watching and listening to the game as much as to playing it, because there is a whole lot of kind of non-interactive parts.
With all this Final Fantasy, Advent Children and all this stuff, you can't help but wish that maybe they would just make a Metal Gear movie.
Yeah,
it's that stuff looks so good that
the thing
if they were
is,
just left to do it.
I think the reason, I bet he's had the opportunity to do it, and I think the main reason he hasn't is because he could tell a much richer story with a game. I mean, a movie is 2 hours. But this game is 15 or 20 hours. It's got this really long-winded story. Hideo Kojima obviously doesn't like editing very much. He wants to have these weird gun fetish moments where he's just Snake spends 5 minutes like talking about every part of his gun. It's like it just has this amount of excess to it that is really interesting, if nothing else. It's really quite unique.
Cool. I just got the sign from Homer, so we're going to quickly discuss Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. Great game for the GameCube out of Retro Studios, 2 years in the works. Now as a multiplayer component, which, judging by Brad's review, isn't really what you're going for, but if you're a big fan of the first Metroid Prime, you will like Metroid Prime 2, correct?
Yeah, totally. It's more of the same things that made the first game so great.
And there's now the light versus dark. I know we have a cool standee now where there's a dark Samus and a light Samus, and now you have a dark vision you can use with your scanner, and an echo vision that goes by the visor. So and the echo visor and
screw attack. Yeah, screw attack is back.
That's right.
All kinds of great stuff. Anything else on Metroid Prime that I'm missing? Or?
Well, I mean, it had such a tough act to follow. It's like it's one of those games where just by virtue of it being a sequel, it's going to have really big shoes to fill, because part of what was so great about Metroid Prime was just the sense of wonder that game gave. I mean, no one expected that game to do such a good job of drawing you into that world, but this one still has tons of surprises and originality and everything, so it's easily one of the best GameCube games so far this year.
Cool. For more information on all of these games, including a full review, tons of screens, tons of gameplay movies, check out GameSpot, but do it after the show, because right now we're moving on to some 4-player Alien Hominid.
Excellent.
It's been a while since we played anything. If everyone wants to grab a controller, Ryan, I don't know where yours went.
I think it's over by Greg.
All right, cool. Well, this is, as we said, back on July 29th, we debuted Alien Hominid on this show, and we are now going to play the mini game, one of the mini games, which is under PDA Games. Basically, it's this crazy 4-player action. We'll just do it. You can also make your own levels, but now the way this works, everyone has to hit start first. I'm the white guy. You guys can figure out which ones you are. And you see that red door up there. We're all trying to get there. And before the red door, did you guys all die already?
We all got
jumped on us.
Wow, that's real good. All right, you can't fall in the water. You can't get shot. And the way you want to do this is you have to. I'm going to die right now, too.
I think it started all of us by the water.
Oh, it did. You got all walked in the water. All right, now see, I just got all this. I killed everyone and got all the green things. Now the level's unlocked. Now, since you guys all have to wait for me to finish, you will all respawn now. You all have to do it.
Oh, God.
Oh, yes.
And you can double jump, by the way, by hitting A twice. We're playing the GameCube version, by the way.
This guy?
Yeah, you have to jump on him.
Oh.
And in order for that red door to open up there, you have to get all of the bomb-shaped things and kill everyone. You don't have to necessarily do it yourself, just someone has to do it.
I'll just hang out up
So
here.
everyone leaves. Yeah, that is a great tactic that I learned. But if you die, you have to wait until everyone's done, and then the level resets.
Oh, this double jump.
So Jeff, you're the blue. Greg, you're green, and Ryan, you're red.
I did all the work.
Yeah, I'm red.
I think I did all the work. All right, here we go. Moving on. This is level 2 now. All right, this level's a lot simpler.
Yeah, this is just so cool. It's one of my favorite things is see how he moves his thumb when you move near it.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's really cool. I was talking to Ryan Davis about it. We have our review of this game going up very soon. But it's really nostalgic, but it's obviously it's a new game, but on the one hand, you've got these compilations coming out, Midway Arcade Treasures and stuff like that. But in a very real respect, something like this is way more nostalgia-inducing than those games, because this really just captures what was so neat about playing old-school games like that, while at the same time offering like a totally new experience. It's really pretty ingenious.
And for those of you who weren't here back on July 29th when we debuted this game, it started out as a Flash game on the site newgrounds.com, and now these great guys at the Behemoth who we've gone and hung out with. Now, I'm not going to ruin this level for everybody. We'll just see what happens when we push the boat in the water.
The boat floats.
It does. All right.
Oh, Jesus!
All right, now now I will ruin it for you. One of the great things is some of these levels requires teamwork if there's more than one person. For example, in order for both of us to get across here, someone needs to get... If we had all four of us alive still, one person would have to stay behind in the boat and move it back so everyone could get on. Also, if 3 people jump in the boat, it capsizes. So
That's heavy.
It is heavy. And as I was saying, the great guys at Alien Hominid, you can find their stuff at alienhominid.com. They have like action figures and T-shirts and skateboards you can get. And now that I mentioned that, I hope to get hooked up.
Oh, geez.
But we'll give it away on the show. It'll be great. This level I couldn't get by last time, so this might be a great spot for us to end it.
Easy as pie.
Okay, I was right there with you.
So yeah, and this is we should repeat that this is just the mini game portion of Alien Hominid. This isn't the whole thing.
If you want to see what the game actually looks like, head on over to the Alien Hominid game space after the show, and you'll see it is a great 2D side-scrolling Metal Slug reminiscent like cartoon that you get to play pretty much. You're an alien and you shoot a bunch of FBI guys.
But now
it's very cool. Ryan, take it away. You've been itching to do this all day.
GameSpotting Live. I'm super excited about checking out the some of the best of some of our favorite picks. I think you made it in there a few times.
Nice.
So we're going to take a look at this. Is going to be a quick look at some of the best GameSpotting Live.
Why don't you explain what GameSpotting Live is first?
All right, totally. I guess
that's
right. Since the feature is kind of like not.
It's been on a slight hiatus recently.
So yeah, for those of you at home that haven't seen it, you see on the left-hand nav, there's a section that says "See Other Stuff," and one of those things down there is GameSpotting. You click on that, it'll take you to a page that has over 100 different versions of it.
Yeah, it's like about 200 now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, it's
getting up there.
That's
so
a whole lot.
That's a whole lot. So yeah, you go there, you go check out any of the GameSpottings. It was a weekly feature. Every week we'd gather some of the editors together, and typically we'd have them all write articles about little columns, things that were happening that were related to video games. Whether it was, I don't know, Jeff, what was some of the fun ones that you wrote? Anything good?
Oh, just about what's going on, really. Current events, that sort of thing. I mean, there's always something crazy happening in the game business. You can always be assured that someone out there is making some insane decision that is going to incense you to the point where you have to,
like Gran Turismo getting pushed back to
January
2005.
No, that doesn't incense you. You can just expect that at this point. It's like, does that game even exist? I played it, and I'm still not sure it exists.
They're just real cars, man. They're just photographs. They don't even
want to make sure. Anyways. The whole thing is every once in a while we do a video version of this cool thing. So instead of just being words on a page, you'd actually get these cool videos that we edit together. And so some of these, what you're about to see, are excerpts from a few of those. So without further ado, let's check it out.
Dude, Jeff, there's guys in the building with guns. I can call the cops.
Hi, and welcome to GameSpotting Live. I'm Rich Gallup, one of the producers of Let's GameSpot. We felt we owed you, the viewer, a sneak peek behind the scenes of everything that goes into making our great, fantastic, and wonderful show. The first step in composing any episode of Let's GameSpot is the difficult decision of narrowing down which games get to be on the show. Are you dizzy, Bob?
Pretty dizzy.
Okay, go ahead. Now that we've got our games, we have to write the show, and fast. So we've got our script. Now all we need is a host. Hey Jeff, you ready? Jeff, come on, let's go. Of course, while we encourage a good performance, we make sure our hosts strive for perfection each time out.
For more information, consult our
Head or gut?
Head.
Okay, we've got all the pieces of our show. All we need to do now is edit them together. I'm Rich Gallup. Thanks for watching.
Fan fiction is one of those strange permutations in the world of geek, where a fan's imagination takes an existing piece of pop culture and just runs off into the woods with it. The GameSpot players proudly present our dramatic interpretation of GameSpot fan fiction. We hope you enjoy.
Dear Diary, today was my first day as an intern at GameSpot, and boy did I have fun. Alex was introducing me to Jeff Gressman, who was about to let me in on Nintendo's Megaton announcement when disaster struck.
OMFG, guys! We've been hacksorted! Come look, quick!
I will sacrifice myself for the good of GameSpot. It was risky, but I had to do it. I could create a satellite feedback delay strong enough to short-circuit the OC3 between here and Eternia, creating a wormhole that would suck Snake Mountain into an alternate dimension.
You did it! You have saved the day! You are the hero of GameSpot!
Hi, I'm Alex Navarro, assistant editor here at GameSpot. What I wanted to do is take a game that is very bad and show you what it's like to have to review a game that is very bad. We're gonna play some RoboCop. This is not so good. This looks like crap. I can't do this.
Do the job.
I've drawn a bit of a diagram. I don't know if you can... So that's that. This is what we do for you every single time we have to review a truly awful game.
So guys, happy 100th GameSpotting anniversary. Yay. Yay. So I'm gonna blow out the candles and best wishes. I'm the one that cooks around here, asshole.
Tim was so angry right there. It's awesome. Great. All right, some facts about GameSpot Live. In case you didn't know, when you're looking for them, scrolling down, the most recent one you're going to find is GameSpotting 00. That means GameSpotting 100, System Reset. And that was way back on October 27th, 2003.
Wow.
And there you'll find what you just saw clips of. You saw Ryan Davis's GameSpot Fan Fiction, Ryan McDonald's GameSpot Action Squad, and Craig's GameSpot Love, as well as you'll find Greg's great 100 Years of GameSpot.
That was awesome.
And the pilot episode of Button Mashing, actually, which was way back when.
Right.
Also, GameSpotting 91 on location was Alex's Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Game, where he breaks down how he reviews the process he goes through reviewing a bad game. In this case, it was a RoboCop game. It's real good.
RoboCop's not so bad.
And back in GameSpotting 85, live and in color, you saw mine, The Making Less GameSpot. That's when I was an intern.
It's crazy, huh?
June of 2003. Wow, we've all grown so much since then.
Those were the days.
Those were the days. Speaking of those were the days, last week we gave away 9 copies of Star Wars Battlefront. And if you want to know, if you want, here is your answer right here. The 3 PC copies of Star Wars Battlefront. The question was, who shot first, Han or Greedo? Jeff, what's the answer?
Who cares?
The answer's Han! And 60 to 70% of you said Greedo, and that means you've only seen the special edition. You need to go to your video store and watch the old version where Han straight up gangsta shoots first. If your name is Chase G in Encinitas, California, Brian Rhee in Korea, or David Herman in Wayne, New Jersey, congratulations. You have won a PC version of Star Wars Battlefront. Xbox versions go to Troy Matusha. You've written us a million times. I say your name differently every time. South Surrey, British Columbia. Greg Merritt in Canada, Ontario. Joel Scott of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And the 3 PS2 copies go to Bryce Gilbert in Monroe, Washington. Matt Johnson in Chicago, Illinois. And Keegan Nurmsu in Vernon, British Columbia. We are huge in Canada. We are huge in Europe. We are huge in Canada.
That's the show me state.
Show me state. Great, Ryan. What else? We got some final questions to go through
yes,
here?
I have one question, and this is from Robin in California. He wants to know, do you know when the PSP will be released in the United States?
They haven't announced it. We hear March, but they haven't announced anything.
In January, we'll have a better idea, supposedly, right?
Yeah.
That's when the Consumer Electronics Show takes place, and I bet Sony's going to have something to say
probably
at that time.
firm details there. And, of course, the system's out in Japan next month. So, look for all
Just
kinds
a couple of
weeks. Crazy PSP stuff
So,
in a few weeks.
since we're talking handhelds, before we go any further, there's one thing I got to know. How's this going to work? DS is coming out when?
This Sunday.
So I know Nintendo historically has done this before. How does this work out? I know you've been waiting in line for Super Nintendos and stuff.
It basically works where they ship the stuff to stores. Stores are going to have DSs tomorrow if they don't have them already.
We've got them right now.
So come on by. So presumably someone's going to break the ship date. When the Nintendo 64 was released, it was also released on a weekend.
Yeah.
I went to a Best Buy, and there was a girl there I went to high school with, and I was able to sweet talk her into selling me someone else's pre-ordered Nintendo 64.
Wow.
Fantastic.
What the? It was you.
And I never called her. But yes, so yeah, be on the lookout, because some places are going to break the street date. If you're hankering for a DS, put those charm skills to use, and maybe you can come up with something.
I have one question from John Mitchell regarding the DS. He comes from Glasgow, Scotland. He's going to be importing a DS because he can't wait until next Easter. Apparently, and that's when it comes out there. Because of the different wall socket, he wants to know, will he be able to use the GBA SP charger on the battery?
Yes, the answer is yes. It does. It plugs in right in here.
It's the same plug, so it should fit right in, unless they're building these to not accept a different voltage or something, which maybe it'll work, maybe it'll blow up. Either way, it'll be interesting, so give it a shot.
I have two quick hardware questions for the DS. Mr. Chupon in New York City wants to know, is the thumbpad fine enough from a construction standpoint to substitute totally for the stylus?
No.
No, so you won't be able to write with it?
It's an 8-way D-pad. You can't use it to... well, does he mean the D-pad or the thumb?
By thumbpad, he meant the weird thing you hook on your thumb.
It works. It works roughly the same.
If you tried writing in PictoChat with your thumb and the thumbpad, would the lines be too thick and unwieldy?
No, because it only senses one point. Basically, it only picks up the center of that thing. So it draws the same thickness of line regardless. I mean, you could put your whole hand on it; it's only going to draw like the same little thin line.
There are in other Illustrator little programs, there are selections you can make of how thick the line is.
Right, and in PictoChat you can pick a thinner line, but regardless
of what you're using,
the thickness of what you put on the screen won't change that.
Right on.
Stephen from Baltimore, is the touch screen protected from scratches during normal gameplay?
It seems to be.
Yeah.
How are you holding up?
Well, I mean, I've been playing a lot of the mini games in Mario. I mean, you see,
you're looking okay. Yeah,
it's looking. You can see some little lines on there, but let's just.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this thing.
And they're gone. They're gone. That just like that, like magic. So are we out of questions?
I think I've got a ton of them, but I think everybody wants to go.
All right, cool. So we have a giveaway. Before we get to the giveaway, we have to say now, will there be a show next week, Ryan?
No, there will not be a show next week.
Why not?
Because there'd be turkey to have. Football games to play and turkey. Yes.
All right, cool.
No show.
And also, quick plug, be sure to vote for GameSpot.com on the Spike TV Awards, Viewers' Choice Awards. You can go on SpikeTV.com and look for the Video Game Choice Awards. And they have a category for fan favorite.
Best gaming website.
Gaming website, that's right. So vote for us. Vote early, vote often.
Yes.
A vote for us is a vote for Snoop Dogg, who's hosting the show.
Ryan, I'm going to let you reveal what we're giving away here, because it's too big for me to do. I want you to do it.
All right. So are you sure?
Yeah, do it.
All right. How about I hold it up and you start?
Okay, fine. Right. I'll hold up the other part. Ready?
All right. Yeah,
1, 2, 3, go.
Boom.
All right. Look at this. What we got right here? Oh my gosh. What are we doing? Look at this. We got. Oh, look at this. It's the new PlayStation 2.
That's a PlayStation 2.
It looks like a brand new PlayStation 2. It's the little one Ryan's got right there.
Perhaps you need to see the opening.
And you're like,
this box is empty, man.
That's because it's right there. And I'm like, how can I win that? Well, the question you should be asking is, how can I win one of 5 of them?
Yes.
Because we're giving away 5 of the new slimmed down PlayStation 2s. And we've been trying to figure out all day how we can give these away, thanks to the fine people of Sony who got this great new hardware. Everyone wants it. Everyone around the office keeps trying to hog this one. And Greg, you had the brilliant idea of Sony-related game trivia. Can we come up with some Metal Gear trivia off the top of your head there? How many questions? Do you want to do one question and the first 5 people get it right?
I could do one at a time.
Or do you want to do 5 trivia questions?
I could maybe come up with 5.
All right, we're going to put Greg to the test right here. Now, Greg's going to ask some questions. We're going to put Greg on the spot.
This is awesome.
He's going to ask 5 Metal Gear-related trivia questions.
Right.
And if you want to win the Sony PlayStation 2, you have to answer his question right, as well include your name and your full mailing address. So if you're a GameSpot Complete member, on the forum on the page right now, I'd say type in your name and mailing address right now and get ready for the trivia question. And Greg.
So I'm just going to ask 5 different questions with like a one-word one or 2 words.
Yeah, with a yes,
okay.
That'll work.
Okay, and in the original Metal Gear Solid, Revolver Ocelot loves the smell of what?
Ooh,
that's the first one.
Ooh, all right, so question number 1. In the original Metal Gear Solid, Revolver Ocelot loves the smell of what? Answer that. Full name, full mailing address. I think I know. Anyways, Greg.
Let's see, another one. In Metal Gear Solid 2, towards the end, when a game over screen suddenly appears, what is written on that screen?
Ooh, okay. Towards the end of the game,
That I
Metal Gear
do
Solid 2. Game over screen appears. What is said on the
what is written on it?
What is written on it? Great. All right. That answer, full name, full mailing address. Question number 3, Greg.
Okay, for this one favors people who've picked up Snake Eater. Oh, it's an easy one. What is Snake's code name? What is his full code name? It's not just Snake.
Snake's full code name in
Solid 3.
Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. That's question number 3. Answer that. Full mailing address. If you're the first to do so, you will get one of these right here. Question number 4.
Okay. I think that covers everything. And no. Let's see.
Are you sure we want to mix it up?
Let's see. How many times do you fight Vulcan Raven in Metal Gear Solid 2? How many individual? Here. How many health meters do you have to go through against Vulcan Raven? There you go.
Good question. Do you know that one?
Rough one.
I think I do.
Actually, Jeff, can you repeat that one in the QVC guy voice?
No. I already forgot the question.
Should we mix it up so people that are not necessarily scaring give them one for the people that don't?
Yeah. No, I'm out of ideas.
Yeah, Ryan, you come up with it then.
Something non-Metal Gear Solid.
How about something PlayStation 2 related?
Exactly. PlayStation 2 related. Okay.
What day was the U.S. launch of the original PlayStation 2? Not this little one, the big one, the big bulky
very
one.
good.
What day did it come out? What day was it officially released in the stores?
Are you asking about the date or just the?
Yes, date.
You can't just
full
say
date,
Thursday.
Year.
You can't say
month,
Wednesday.
date, year.
You can't say
month, date, year.
It was Tuesday. It was a Tuesday. I remember.
Someday during the week, I remember.
Yeah.
Because
there it is. Your 5
in line
questions
all
to
night.
win the slimmed down PlayStation 2, courtesy of the fine people at Sony. And we'll announce the winners not on next week's show because there is no next week's show.
So you have to sweat it out and wait until 2 weeks from now to find out.
Yeah, nice holiday gift though.
Yes.
It'll be a great holiday gift. Yeah. Sure.
For 5 people, that's awesome.
Yeah. Are we done here?
We're done.
You want to send us home?
I'll send us home.
Cool.
For everybody here at GameSpot Live, GameSpot, everybody here, the staff, everybody that was holding up signs trying to win PS2s right here, you are not eligible. For Jeff, for Greg, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you again in 2 weeks. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Take it easy.